Welcome to the Classic Movie Show. This is episode 1 where we cover The Great Train Robbery, the film in 1903. I'm your host, Louis B. The Great Train Robbery was directed by Edwin S. Porter and shot in 1903, just a month before its release. It was released in December and was filmed in November. Unlike today, where films take a lot longer to be shot and then released. This was just the space of 1 month. It's an American silent film, and it was made by Porter for the Edison Company, and follows a bunch of outlaws who hold up and rob a train. It's set in the Wild West. The film is around 12 minutes, just a short film, and it basically draws on the existingness of the Wild West and also the interest in Western films, as well as recent more innovations in filmmaking in England and France at the time, and is based around a piece of work by Scott Marble. The popularity of real-life train robberies and the Wild West, as well as outlaws such as the Sundance Kid and Butch Cassidy, and especially train-themed films and plays, led to the popularity of this piece of work. Porter made this film in New York and New Jersey in November 1903, and Edison began selling it to various vaudeville houses the following month in December. It was starring Justice D. Barnes and G. M. Anderson, Walter Cameron as the lead actors, who also helped with the planning of the film. Porter's approach, although not particularly groundbreaking or unusual, allowed him to use various popular techniques of filmmaking, which went on to be used in the standard of filmmaking later on in the film industry. Various shots and locations and actions of violence helped give this piece of work a really good sense of urgency and roughness that the audience really liked. Especially with a special shot that was filmed at the end, where the outlaw emptied his gun into the camera directly. This was honoured in later films, such as, Goodfellas by Martin Scorsese, where at the end when Ray Liotta looks into the screen, the camera, and we see an image of Joe Pesci's character empty the gun into the camera, similar to The Great Train Robbery itself. What we're going to do is just give you an overview of the production of this film, and then we're lucky enough to have this being honoured in the American Film Institute of History in the Library of Congress. So as a result, this film will be able to be seen today, and then we can talk about it afterwards. Due to its popular subject matter, as well as its interesting shooting style and violence, this film was a success commercially. After which, the various legends happened, claiming it was the first Western to be shot, or even the first film to tell a narrative story. However, since then, people have basically looked into these claims and rejected them. As I said, the film The Great Train Robbery was selected to be preserved in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, who stated it was aesthetically significant and historically, culturally relevant. I won't go into the plot, as this episode we're actually going to watch the film, so I don't want to spoil it, but ultimately it's about a couple of bandits who break into an office and then try and hold the train at gunpoint. and various things happen after that. In the previous years leading up to the Great Train Robbery, we had various innovations happening in the film industry. Whereas you had some studios such as Edison's and the Lumiere Company focusing more on short films or films that were very straightforward, often a single shot, we had other filmmakers who strived to be more elaborate. Georges Méliès's films, such as the classic 1902 success of Trip to the Moon, was highly acclaimed for its special effects and multiple shooting and clever editing. And as well as British filmmakers working in a studio in Brighton, nicknamed the Brighton School, who also made various innovations, and together they all developed the conventions that would later become film industry standards. Edwin Porter had won sort of some credibility making equipment in film. However, after his workshop was destroyed, he accepted to work at the Edison Company in 1901 and quickly sought out to improve their equipment. He became a regular cameraman for Edison. And at the time, unlike today in Hollywood, camera operators, in the current film industry, usually operate, under the director of photography, who then also is under the director himself. And in that time, in 1901, a cameraman also operated cameras, but also had creative control, much like a documentary self-shooter would today. This creative energy would then later be called directing. So you basically got the camera operator directing in those days. And although his early stuff was pretty simple, he then quickly had a chance to look at the various foreign films for inspiration, and found that actually there was quite a lot of innovation being done by Méliès and the Brighton School in the UK. So he soon tried to mould the American films into that similar level. And upon examination, especially on Méliès's Trip to the Moon tricks, that visual effects that he used, special effects that he used, he basically quickly understood that if he did the same, he could bring more people to the theatre. And so he set to work to improve on his directing in this way. And Edison quickly understood and encouraged these plans. His first piece that Porter did in this elaborate way was a 1902 adaptation of Jack and the Beanstalk, the story, in an attempt to copy Méliès. And in 1903, he did a film of a life of an American fireman, similar to the Brighton School in England, his film Fire. His films did well and soon pushed him on to become one of the leading filmmakers in America. And in 1903, in October, he quickly joined a new hire, Max Aronson, who is a young actor, and basically quickly worked together to create the Great Train Robbery. Porter took on production and shooting photography, and Anderson assisted him on set design and staging. Western films and theatre plays were quite popular already in America at the time, and the Wild West was of huge interest to the public, as often it still was happening, but just coming to slowly winding down at that time of the 1900 year. And as a result, doing a film about a stage robbery or a train robbery would be quite interesting and popular for Porter to tackle. As well as having Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid being real-life gangs who were robbing trains and escaping, as well as other gangs at the time. That all led to inspiration for Porter's film. Looking at a basic concept, Porter focused on Scott Marble's stage play, The Great Train Robbery, which had premiered in 1896 and had been well received, covering a gang who attempt to steal some gold from a Wells Fargo office and then trying to make off with the gold before it leaves by train. For this narrative style, Porter drew on various films with elaborate storytelling. There was a British film called Daylight Burglary, which has also been influential, and another British film called Desperate Poaching of Frey, which are quite successful. And using the daring Daylight Burglary story, the editing was very similar to the structure for The Great Train Robbery. Porter filmed the film in 1903 in November. Some of the scenes were filmed in Edison's studio in New York City, while others were in New Jersey. Many of Edison's workers were amongst the extras of the film. And the cast were Justice D. Barnes as the leader of the outlaws, who had the close-up at the end, Walter Cameron as the sheriff, and G.M. Anderson in various roles. One of the robbers, the dancing tenderfoot, and also one of the passengers who's murdered. Initially, Edison wanted to get a railroad company to give them their tracks and cast for free, saying it would be good publicity for them, but the owners disagreed, but eventually allowed Edison to use their trains if he made more of a straightforward advertising film for them, like a corporate video in today's times. Although Porter's style for the film was not innovative and highly cutting edge, in comparison to various other films around at the same time, it was quite much better. It was much more action-focused and far more sophisticated in its framing of its shots and its editing style. As it covered more popular themes and relevant innovative techniques at the time, it allowed a much more successful release of the film. The use of real locations, real trains, added a sense of realism and fast-pacedness to the film, which also helped the success of the release. In the 1900s, especially in 1903, the most formal venue to watch a movie was the Vaudeville House, where films were exhibited as part of a range of things that were being shown for entertainment. The Edison Company announced that this film will be shown to exhibitors in November 1903, calling it a big headliner. And to ensure that they had copyright, they submitted a cut of the film to the Library of Congress, where it survives to this day as a paper print. Edison sold it to exhibitors for $111. The first screening of this film was at a New York City dime museum, Huber's Museum. And following, it appeared at about 10 to 11 venues around the city. Edison marketed the film heavily, saying it was superior to any other motion picture that had ever been made, and really focused on being faithful to the genuineness of stick-ups and hold-ups by robbers at the time, by famous outlaws in the far west, which really got the public to be interested in watching it, as they were fascinated with these bandits at the time. It was a major success for Edison, and it played as a headline in various houses, showing up frequently at venues around the country in following years. And its popularity was really helped by the fact that train robberies were becoming familiar news items at the time. And the depictions of action and violence were very striking, which were unusual. Despite its being really popular, this film, The Great Train Robbery, didn't lead to a massive interest in westerns at the time, but the genre has just continued as it had before, scattering out a set of shorts and longer films, and would not really take hold until much later, about 5 years' time, towards the end of the first decade of the 20th century. It's since then become a legend, and a lot of stories and mistaken claims have led to this film just escalating in terms of its interest, especially in film historians and film schools. And it was added to the United States National Film Registry in 1990. So that's the background to this interesting film. I'm really fascinated by it, and I just think it's a really important piece, whether you're a filmmaker or whether you're just a film fan or just really interested in these kind of things. And considering it's it's over 120 years old, albeit the actual anniversary is 120th anniversary, as we are in December 2023, 120th anniversary of this film being released. So without further ado, let's take it away and let's watch The Great Train Robbery, made in 1903, and I'll come back to you with my thoughts afterwards. Hope you enjoy. Other iterations of this film have music, but this essentially was released as a silent film, so I'd rather watch it in the way that it was originally required to be watched. So we are going to watch it with no sound, and hopefully you'll enjoy that and see what you can take from it. And let's catch up after the screening. Hope you enjoy. Let's take it away. Well, I don't know what it must have been like to be watching this in the theatre 120 years ago, but it's remarkably well preserved. And yeah, I think there's some film companies who have actually restored the film to its full high resolution as well. Because as I understand, film is actually higher than high definition. It's actually, I think it's even higher than 4K original film, but I'm not sure if that was the case at the time of this shooting this film. It's incredible use of locations as well, and the shots and the movement really sort of, show this as pretty much groundbreaking. Not innovative shots, but just pretty groundbreaking in terms of that time. And really works on the suspense as well. Having a train in a film is just absolutely incredible, I would say. Back in those days, remarkable feat, and just testament to Edison's kind of sway over the industry. And so well shot and framed, like the suspense is really there, You kind of want to keep watching, and I really am enjoying it. Oh, incredible. Just so much movement, and it's like almost theatre on the screen. Wow. Acting is just superb. If you haven't guessed it, this is my live commentary as I'm watching it. So I'm just watching the bit now with the carriage, where they've just broken into the first carriage and exploded the box with the money. And now they're just taking the bags and going to the engine part. And I think the railroad companies insisted on using real life drivers and engineers for the train. They wanted real train drivers. And I think there was some consternation when, they used a kind of... They threw the guy off the train, and they thought, is that the real guy? Because it's just cut in such a way that you can't see the bit when he's struggling with the guy, and then suddenly it's throw him off the train. They actually thought that at the time that was the real guy that he bashed around the head and threw off the train, which is incredible. In those days, to cut film in that way, even today, it would be remarkable. Yeah, this is fantastic. And just using a live steam train, I just can't get over it. It's just incredible that they had a prop like that in those days. It's just amazing. And look how many people, as the people exit the train with their hands up, most of them were sort of Edison's employees. I mean, having a look, that's like at least 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. I mean, you don't really need that many people, but it's just incredible. Like 50 people or so. Or no, there's more coming off. Wow. It's just incredible. So you've got like 60 odd people getting off the train in the wide shot. And that's very, very cool. And you can still make them out, in this old film. You can see the actions, the movements, all in kind of unison. One guy tries to run away and gets shot. It's just an incredible film. Now I think they're robbing the passengers, so you can make this out, even though it's such an old piece of footage. I think there's another video on YouTube where they actually have a lab in England has actually brought this back to its full glory. But yeah, this is our version. I like watching the original version that people would have watched, at that time. Wow, incredible. So now the crooks the bandits even are running up to the steam engine, and they're getting on the front part of the train. And they're now escaping on the train. It's just amazing. I mean, a lot of the shots are kind of static, but they do work. And as a filmmaker, it just goes to show, you don't really need to move the camera much. That people tend to move the camera too much. You can move, the shots within the shots. And, there's the tripod now moving just along and down. And they're running through the forest. Wow, what a shot. That's just incredible. Such a good shot. There's so much action going on. I mean, stepping over the stones and the river with the bags over their shoulders. And they're just real people. They're not stunt people. Wow, getting on the horses. I mean, it's just incredible. Camera moving to follow. Yeah, I mean, horses now require, stunt coordinators and everything. I guess they all rode horses in those days. And okay, now the clerk in the office is freeing himself. What's he gonna do? You've got a little child who's uncutting the clock. And praying. A little child or a little lady? I can't tell. No, and they've there we go. Got the guy up, and there's like a dancing hall. Wow, they've even got a band, people dancing. They've got a whole other space. Must be, 20 people in there. Incredible. Staging is done so well. And you've got the guy sort of dancing on the floor. He's one of the lead actors, I think. And then you've got the sort of people dancing around each other, line dancing, and just, oh right, the clerks come in and gathered the men with the guns, posse, I assume. And they're riding through the woods. What an incredible shot. In those days, it must have been incredible to witness this on the screen, as if it was real. So that's just... the posse's catching up with them. The bandits have the money in the forest. They're dividing it up. And then the posse's coming up in the background. What an incredible shot. So you got the foreground, you got the mid shot with the horses, the mid part of the shot, and then you got the background, the posse, and they're all shooting at each other. This is just incredible. Smoke everywhere. Bandits getting killed. Oh my God, incredible. It's just incredible. Holy moly. And they collect all the money. The posse have caught them. And then it ends with the cowboy close up where he shoots at the screen, which must have been profound for the audience to witness and not sort of recoil in terror. But I mean, with all the interest in, the Wild West at the time, wow. What an incredible film. That was just absolutely incredible. I'm tempted to watch it again and just study the shots. I just thought, wow. So those were my thoughts. I initially wanted to sort of capture them and relay to you at the end. But then I thought, you know what, as it's a silent film, I'll just watch it and give you my thoughts as I went along. In summary, I would say, fantastic film, and it's got me interested now in watching some of the older films. Now, originally this channel was meant to be classic movies, such as watching Cary Grant movies, Hitchcock, Bing Crosby, James Stewart, those kind of films. But I wanted to go back further. I wanted to capture some of the films that most people watch in film school, and most people who aren't generic filmmakers or have the money to go to film school tend to watch. So I wanted to give some of that knowledge. I mean, this is a homage to old films, but it's also, I want to capture the community of filmmakers. We do have another community channel for indie filmmakers where filmmakers can go and discuss their own movies and talk about the process of filmmaking and give advice and discuss the challenges, and we can share our adventures, such as, trips to Berlin and Cannes Film Festival and stuff like that. But I kind of want to get filmmakers here too, I've tried to get them interested in the classic radio channel, and a lot of them like radio, but I've found that a lot of people prefer discussing movies. So this is also for filmmakers as well as lovers of film, and film students. If you're studying this in the film school, maybe my video's given you some insights. But yeah, I think incredible film. I can't imagine what it would have been like in the theatre to watch this 120 years ago. And what a way to launch our new YouTube channel. So I hope that was helpful for you. I don't want to add a lot of visuals to this this discussion and the film itself. I may just overlay, an old noir, color grade to it, so it's all in black and white and sort of noirish. But if you haven't already, if you've enjoyed and got this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when we're hitting our next episode, that would be so great. Please support little channels. We are trying to go into YouTube with a smile and trying to build community of people who love film, especially old classic films. So please join us for our future classic movies. I have a hint. It might be one that we spoke about today. It's one of my favorites, and I've seen it before in film school, I think, when I did a course. But it was a great way to teach people how to make films. Silent movies had to be so much more because you didn't have sound. And, sound is like more than 50% of the film. So in those days, you had to really sort of show everything, so the public would understand. And in this film, there was no inserts of cards where people talked, did the dialogue pieces, which you see in a lot of silent movies. There's also not the music, right? So it's interesting that it was done so well. So yeah, that's fantastic, and I'm really intrigued by that, and I think I'm going to learn a few things as a filmmaker also from it. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and hopefully you can join us, subscribe, share the video, get other people to watch it, and give us your comments below. What did you think of the film? Have you seen it before? What's your thoughts about these old movies? Do you have any interesting facts you want to add to this discussion in the comments? Please do. Let's support each other in our love of old movies. I love watching, I love commentaries on YouTube videos where people talk about just interesting facts. They bring, being a nerd myself, bringing kind of the cool, points to the discussion that people may not know, There's not easily findable online as well. That would be fantastic. Please let us know, and like and sub, as I said, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. It's Louis B signing off for now. Bye for now. Take care of yourselves, and see you on the next video. Ciao.